Hey folks, this is Nod, and we are mucking around in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Okay, today I am quite happy because I have finally kind of figured out how to get a halfway decent glider working in Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. This I've obtained from the previous version of Microsoft Flight Simulator, FSX, which, as you can see, is the current version of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and I also own the original version, FSX, and that came with this DG 808 glider. And using Alex Marco's fantastic Microsoft Flight Sim Legacy Importer, I was able to pull that in. This is a piece of software you can download from Nexus Mods. I'll put a link in the description. And it allows you to pull in FSX aircraft, sort of legacy aircraft from the previous version, and they sort of work in the simulator. Obviously this is no substitute for a properly made aircraft for Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, but in the interim it's good enough, and we don't have any gliders otherwise, so this is a way we can actually do some gliding in Microsoft FS 2020. Okay, what are we doing today? Well, I'm going to fly a task, something I made for X-Plane. This is actually up on the X-Plane ORG file. If you've done any X-Plane flying, you're probably familiar with this website and forum. Anyway, I've done a bunch of glider tasks up here, and let me show you this real quick. Yeah, there's a whole mess of tasks up there, and a good majority of them are actually by me. So, although there's been quite a few other people that have put tasks up here, so lots of good stuff to choose from. We're going to fly, where is it? Let's see, where's my Hope Alaska task, which I was just at. Hope British Columbia, sorry, not Alaska. So yeah, I've downloaded the FMS, the X-Plane FMS file, but if you pull this into Little Navmap, for example, Little Navmap will open just about any flight plan you can think of, but it has an export flight plan as Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 PLN file. So you can create your tasks or your flight plans in here, or import them from other places you find them on the internet, and you can save them out to Microsoft Flight Simulator, and you can just load them up in there, and it works great. So that's what I've done. So today we're going to fly this task here. I've set up my weather in Microsoft Flight Sim. As you can see, I got winds 225 at 16 knots, a few cumulus clouds at 4,500 feet, and don't worry about the thermals because they don't work in here yet. But and if you hop in here, you can see where I've set my weather up. Created a custom weather, and I've set the weather up to 225 at 16.1 knots. Couldn't quite get it to go to 16. I'm able to disable the gusts using a technique where you basically just delete the number that's in the is that the speed? I think there's a speed box here. I'm not going to mess with it right now because it's working, but you highlight the number that's in here. It's usually minimum of 50%, and you just hit your delete key on your keyboard and it deletes it, and then all the gusts just suddenly are 0 miles an hour, 0 knots. Oh, 0 knots and 0. Yeah, anyway, it gets rid of those, which is really good and makes gliding so much nicer because it's not all crazy bumpy. Although there is still quite a bit of turbulence in this, which is good. Anyway, babbling. Here you see I've got a ground level, I got the wind at 225 at 16 knots, and then up at 20,000 feet, which we're not going up to today, I got the same pretty much direction with a little bit more strength. So it's got something to interpolate between the ground level and 20,000 feet, so it's going to go from 16 to 20 knots. So, and I put a couple of clouds at 4,500 feet, which is what the original task called for. A little bit of clouds that they have there, but it's not super important that you get that just right. Anyway, today I'm just kind of just doing this for fun anyway. Not going to get too crazy about the settings. Alright, let's get in the aircraft and see what's what. Alright, let's put my head tracking on so we can look around. Very good. Alright, so the model isn't too bad in here. It's definitely workable. Just reset this. There we go. Yeah, it's pulled in most of the instruments, the legacy importer. They're not all working, like for example the digital instruments. There's nothing on those. Should probably make sure this is on. Okay, it's all turned on. nothing is clickable in these cockpits, even though you might get like these sort of pop-up things that tell you what's what. You can't actually click on any of this stuff, which is going to be a problem when we get VR later next month. But for now, you kind of need to map something to your keyboard or your joystick or your yoke or whatever you're using. Anyway, these instruments do work. I've got an airspeed, which seems to be spot on. The altimeter is a bit quirky. I don't know what's going on with it. It seems to be like 500 feet off for some reason from what I get from the actual altitude. Yes, I have set my barometric pressure by hitting B on the keyboard. Anyway, we've got a variometer and a netto. Both of these work, but they are not compensated. So I'll show you that once we get in the air. It's if you pull the stick back, it'll beep 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 beep. Push it forward, it'll go boo. So it's not compensated. It's not reacting to airspeed, which it should, but it's good enough for now. Okay. Some of these other levers I do actually have mapped to my my throttle quadrant here. I've got one of these Logitech CYHE throttle yokes, which I've mapped the red stick to the to my flaps and the blue stick to my air brakes, so that sort of works. So I can muck around with that. Make sure I got the right position here. Let's put my neutral for takeoff and make sure the speed brake's in. You can actually see that working. Nice proportional control on the blades there. Very nice. So that's all working. And I do have landing gear, which I'm not going to muck with right now because we're actually sitting on the ground. But yeah, this is good enough to fly. I got my main instrument, is what I'm really worried about, which is I got airspeed, altitude, a couple of variometers and netto things to look at, see if we're climbing or sinking. And that's pretty much all you need. The only other thing I want, of course, is a map so I can see where I am. I don't know why this doesn't remember where the last position was, but there it is. Let's stick it on top of my ugly mug there. So you can see as I loaded in the course, it's put it in here. Unfortunately, Microsoft Flight Simulator likes to round the corners. It doesn't actually go straight to your turn points, because you see I got a start, turn point 1, 2, 3, and finish line, which is great, but this is rounded it off for some reason. But anyway, this is good enough that you could probably just actually run the task. And of course I also have it over here on my other monitor as a little nav map, which I'm going to use because the topographical information on this is just so much nicer. Although, saying that, we do actually have the isoline map mode, which puts a bunch of wiggly lines all over your map, which if you know anything about contour lines, the closer the lines are together, the steeper the terrain, so that kind of helps. And I'm going to click the GPS tracking so I don't have to stay on top of this and keep it inside. Anyway, I'm babbling way too much, aren't I? Let's get in the air. You want to see some gliding. So how are we going to get in the air? We don't have a motor. There is a piece of software called WinchX that apparently does work in Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. It's an FSX add-on, I believe. But I've not tried it yet. I'm very interested in giving it a go, but for this demo today I'm not going to bother. But yeah, check out WinchX and see if maybe that works. But I'm going to just use the slew commands to get me into the air today. So make sure my glider's turned on here. Go, everything's on. Alright, so I'm going to press Y on my keyboard, and I'm going to hit F4, and it's going to take us up. Let's go up a fair amount here. Okay, so notice I've taken off. Now, as soon as you hit Y to go back out of slew mode, it's going to drop you with 0 airspeed, and it's going to be like, yeah! So be ready for a giant mega stall, but you should be able to recover pretty quickly. And here we go. We're gliding. And we're going the wrong way. So turn around here. Alright, so I'm going to fly this task, and I'm going to babble while we do it, and hopefully it'll be interesting. I want to skip ahead, be my guest, but I shall endeavour to keep this interesting. Probably give you a bit of a long video, apologise for that, but I don't know. I just wanted to fly the whole thing and give you my thoughts as we go. So, as you can see, the start line is over here. According to the task rules that I set up on my things, you have to be a maximum of, 3,500 feet once you hit the start line, which we're well below right now. But as you can see, I'm getting lift here. Both the Vario and the Netto are kind of indicating I'm getting up off this edge. So the wind is right now is coming from kind of that way over there, and it's blowing up against this hill next to us. So we're getting ridge lift. And at the time I'm recording this, there is no thermals that we're aware of in Microsoft Flight Sim, which is a bit of a downer, but ridge lift definitely seems to be working. And it's rather good too. It seems very dynamic. I'll get into that as we fly, and give you my thoughts on that. But as you can see, we're gliding rather nicely here. Hold on, I'm way too slow. I need to speed up a bit. I'm gonna change my. I don't know, move that up a bit so you can see it without having to look down. Just messing me up. All right, now she's flying better. Back up to minimum 6 speed. Alright, so we're climbing nicely in the lift here. We'll boogie on over to our start line, and actually I might do a switchback to get a little higher here. I'd like to get up closer to 3,000 before we go to the start line. Let's cruise along here a little bit more, and then we'll switch back once and then see where we're at. Yeah, seems pretty good. Alright, let's spin her around here, go back the other way. Very pretty. Too bad about the canopy, but what can you do? Alright. The roll rate on this aircraft seems really anemic. It's very, very slow roll rate. Something I could probably fix in the config files. But I've seen a number of other people commenting about the roll rate on some of these imported legacy gliders. It's just, I mean, yeah, this thing's got enormous wings, and obviously it's going to be pretty low, but it doesn't seem as snappy as it should. I mean, I'm really having to crank this up. It feels like wallowy and like I'm flying a 747 or something, which is odd because pitch and rudder and stuff are really snappy. But for some reason the roll is very slow, which is fine. Keeps you smooth at least. Alright, we'll crank it up the altitude here. This is good. Just going to fly to the end here, and then we'll make a beeline for the start. Flying our task. So there's the airfield we took off from. Yeah, it'd be nice to get the winch thing going. That would be excellent, but not too worried about it yet. The slew mode just works fine. Another thing you can do is if you pop it into dev mode, into developer mode, you can actually change aircraft while you're in the air. One of the techniques I was using before I discovered how slew mode worked was to just hop in the Bonanza or something and get up to like 3,000 feet and then switch to the glider, and that sort of worked, but yeah, slew mode is much easier, faster. So that's where we'll be headed. Look at the wing flex, isn't that awesome? Love that. Very nice. I'm glad that imported along with the model. Alright, what are we at? We're coming up on a little over 3,000 feet. Even though that doesn't actually agree with the one you get from this screen, although unfortunately it's cutting off because I'm using a widescreen monitor here and I'm only recording the center of the screen, but yeah, right now it says 3,200 and this one's saying 3,400, so it's about 200 feet off for some reason. I could hit B to change the barometric pressure, and it doesn't fix this, so I don't know why that's 200 feet off. Very strange, but whatever. Close enough. Alright, so we're at 3,500 feet, so that's about where our starting height is supposed to be. So I'm going to fly over to the start here. Let's drop the nose a bit, get some speed on here. Flaps up. Going to reflex a little bit. Okay, a little bit of speed. That's supposed to get below 3,500 anyway for the start line. Which I'm not doing a very good job of. Yeah, it's looking like it's going to work. Alright, so as soon as that magenta line on the map there switches over, I'm going to call that I'm actually at the start point. Oh, I was thinking about changing. Come on. There we go. Okay, we're officially on task. Flaps back here, get down to normal speed. Start working this ridge. Well, wind's coming from over there. And that's pretty much parallel with this ridge, so I'm not going to get anything off this right here. Stuff behind us was good, but we're actually going to hop over this little pass here, I think. It's been a while since I flew this, so I'm sort of remembering what you got to do. You can actually see better on the little nav map. Shows you where the wind's coming from here. So I actually want to catch this face here. You can see my mouse cursor. That's where I'm in. So I don't want to fly on this side because that's going to be on the leeward side of the island. So I'm going to hop over this little pass here and cruise down here. That's my plan. Plan the flight. Fly the plan. Let's head for this little gorge here. Little saddleback. Still get some pings out here though, that's good. Little bumps, I'll take them. So, in the interest of keeping this video somewhat short, I'm going to trim us forwards a little bit. Just a bit. I really can't start dropping the nose until we get around the point here. Once we get to turn point 1, and then I think, if I recall, we can start speeding up a little bit. But this section I got to be a little bit more conservative. So I'm going to sort of keep it under 60 probably. Looking good though. Oh, look at that view. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, one of my main drives for using the simulator is the fantastic scenery. I do a lot of bush flying in this. They like the Cubs and the, various other bush style airplanes with big chunky tires. And that's been wonderful fun, but everywhere I go, I see this topography, I see these ridges and stuff, and I'm just like, I still want to fly a glider there. And finally, I'm actually doing it. So I'm so happy. It would be nice to get some real proper made for Microsoft Flight Sim gliders in here, but this is enough for now. I'm happy, I'm content. This is definitely workable. I could kind of say I'm gliding. It's not perfect, as I said, but thermals are the holy grail, of course. Yeah, there's been some speculation about whether thermals are actually present in the simulator yet. It's tough though, because I promised I talked a little about the uncompensated instruments here. Actually, this is not a good spot to do this because I'm getting some weird turbulence here as we cross over the saddleback here, but it's hard to decide if you're actually in lift or whether you're pulling up back on. Okay, this is fairly calm here. No, it isn't. We're in lift. I've timed this poorly. Should do this when we're out over the valley over there. Should actually start picking up some lift there. Alright, let me demonstrate real quickly. If I pull back on the stick here, you see the tones go up. If I push forwards, the tones go down. Shouldn't do that. It should be taking into consideration the airspeed changes as well as the change in barometric pressure. So that's the difference between a compensated and an uncompensated instrument. Is you can't really trust this these things to tell you whether you're actually in lift or not. It could just be what I call stick lift. Going the wrong way. I need to be going over there. But it's good enough. If you fly smooth and level, you can kind of rely on these. Like right now, I'm definitely in lift. Although my airspeed is dropping, so... Anyway, yes, there is lift in the sim for sure. Alright, Right, so where are we headed here? So we want to run these ridges over here, actually, so I need to turn right here. I was milking this ridge behind us for as much as I could get, but it's time to head back on task here. Get back on course. Speed things up a little bit here. Reflex the flaps. It's pretty good. All the control surfaces actually animate nicely in this. Show the flaps without messing up my flight too bad. See a drop there. And go to reflex. See the blades coming out. Nice and proportional. It's very nice. Ooh, I'm getting a little slow here. What's going on? No, just some turbulence. So I've done, as I mentioned, I've done a lot of gliding in X-plane, and I've been working kind of hard over the last couple of years to get that really going. And thanks to a lot of people, which I can't name all right now, but they've really made that a thing in X-plane. But anyway, one of the things I did notice the difference between the ridge lift in X-plane and the ridge lift here is X-plane's ridge lift is really, really predictable. If you know wind is blowing up this slope, it will be there for sure. I'm not entirely noticing that in Microsoft Flight Simulator. It seems more involved. There's more stuff going on here than just a pure angle to the wind and angle of the topography and the wind speed. I think there's more sort of fluid dynamics going on in this sim, which results in this sort of floaty, I don't know, it just feels more real to me than what I was getting in X-plane. It's less like flying on rails and more like I'm actually feeling a simulation here. I mean, a real thing. It's as you can see, I'm bouncing all over the place right now, even though I'm trying to fly smooth, which is good. I think that's excellent. I think that's the way it should be. So I think they've really got the ridge lift down in Microsoft Flight Sim. Whether the strength is right and things like that, I don't know, but it feels good. It's definitely workable for a glider. Right now I've got 15 knots blowing, which is plenty to keep me aloft. I can actually climb on this train, although as you can see, some of it is almost like 45 degrees up, so it's pretty steep terrain here. So it should definitely be generating good lift. I have noticed though, just even subtle topography. I did some gliding in the UK, for example, where there's lots of small hills and sort of bumps and knolls and things that you can glide off, but you need a fair amount of wind to make that work. And yeah, it's all there. Even the subtlest of topography will generate some degree of lift, which is good. There's not like some cutoff at a certain angle. It works all the way down to flat. Yeah, whether that's the right amount, I couldn't tell you right now. But yes, thermals is what we want, of course, as well. Although, to be honest, between thermal flying and ridge soaring, I think ridge soaring is actually a little bit more exciting, although they both have their merits. But I do enjoy being close to the topography, and you know, it's just kind of a bit more in-your-face sort of gliding. Although I love the challenge of thermal flying too, so they both got their merits. That is definitely missing right now. If I flew out over the valley there, I would probably not find any lift. Some guys have claimed to find some thermals in thunderstorms. And again, though, I don't know if that's confirmable. Whether they're just seeing what's called, stick lift, where you pull up on the stick and the variant goes beep 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 beep. Push forwards, it goes changes your climb rate. Until we get a compensated vario in this, or unless somebody can fly very, very, very exacting with their airspeed and notice the climb rate changes, it's really hard to confirm whether thermals are in this or not. But as I said, some people have sworn that they found thermals in thunderstorms and other big puffy cumulus clouds and whatnot, which is encouraging, but I'm being a bit skeptical right now about that. However, Sobo and Microsoft have said that they are going to add gliders towards the end of 2021 and possibly into 2022. we'll see. I'm sure that schedule will change, but if they're going to add gliders, it's pretty good to assume that they're also going to add thermals. I mean, I'd take it if they just had a really nice glider. I'd be happy with that, but everyone's going to want thermals, and they're going to want them associated with the clouds too. Not that there's much to look at on this weather, but we want to see a cumulus cloud over there and like fly over there and feel fairly confident that there's going to be a thermal under it. That's what we want. That would be fantastic. But yeah, we don't even have that in X-Plane yet. Cumulus is the simulator you want to go to if you want to do thermal flying right now. Cumulus 2 is fantastic. Obviously they don't have the whole planet in glorious detail like this, but yeah, if you want to do thermals, that's hard to beat. And wave gliding too. But hopefully, that's my dream, is we'll have that in Microsoft Flight Sim too, someday. And hopefully X-Plane as well, that would be great. Alright, rounding turn point here. There's turn point 1. So, we're at a better angle to the wind now. Wind's coming from over there, and we'll be blowing against this, so we should get good lift from here on out. So I'm going to trim a little bit more forwards. You can't see me doing anything, but I'm just hitting some buttons on my joystick here. See if we can get the speed up around 70 maybe. Yeah, start to hear the wind a little bit. A little faster, a little bumpier. I like it. So I'm going to kind of hug this cliff here on this slope. Climb a little bit as we're going, but I also want to keep it moving nice and fast here. So if I was flying this seriously, I would try to be flying as fast as possible. You know, it's kind of what you do on these tasks. It's a competitive thing. But to be honest, most of the time I just do this as sightseeing and just an interesting challenge, and I'm usually very cautious about my flying, and I'll milk a slope for as much altitude as I can and then move on to the next one. I'll do that sort of thing versus trying to do it as fast as possible. But I do enjoy the challenge of running this as fast as possible too, but I'm not very good at it. I'm cautious by nature, so I'm somewhat risk averse, or risk versus reward sort of scenarios. I'm not an adrenaline junkie, you could say. So I'm going to fly this slower but safer than most people would. Yeah, some of my tasks I posted on for X-Plane, you know, I'll say, oh, it only took me about 45 minutes to get round. Another guy will be like, oh, I did it in 30 minutes, and I'm like, wow. Then I'll go back and I'll try that, and I won't even get close. So there's definitely some far superior ridge running pilots out there than me, that's for sure. I'm sure I'm doing it all wrong. Speaking of that, I can probably drop the flaps a little bit, or raise the flaps a little bit more, get a little bit more penetration, a little bit more speed. This is a good section here, though. Little bumpy. Alright, cool though. So happy to be doing this. Microsoft Flight Sim. Got the entire world to explore. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm going to visit a whole bunch of places I've done simulated gliding in other sims, and can't wait to try that in this. I have run this, as I said, I have run this task before in X-Plane. Quite a few times actually, and done some multiplayer stuff too. Got a whole bunch of gliders all going around here together, which of course there's no reason we can't do here too. So that's another thing I want to get going, is multiplayer glider flying, and that's something I'll probably coordinate through the Facebook group, and or we also have a Discord channel, which I may or may not put into the description. We'll see. It's not my Discord channel, but we've kind of adopted it, so yeah. So we'll be using that for voice comms perhaps if we do some multiplayer flight. The big question is will we see gliders? If everyone has the same glider model, theoretically, you should be able to see each other's gliders. So. Or is he going to put everyone in a bonanza? I don't know, we'll see. Okay, got a little bit of a gap to go over here. Making some pretty good time here, I think, though. Yeah, getting some spotty lift here. Not really on the cliff anymore. The slope, the hill, what do you want to call it? I don't know. Yeah, we're in sync here, so keep us moving pretty good. Well, maybe not sync, but dead air for sure. Okay, now back into some lift. Another difference, I hate to keep mentioning X-Plane, but X-Plane, I believe, their ridge lift is capped at 1,000 feet above the terrain. I'm not seeing that in Microsoft Flight Sim. It seems like you can go a lot higher above the terrain and still feel at least some lift. It doesn't seem like it's a hard cap or just a sort of exponential curve that suddenly just stops at 1,000 feet. In Microsoft, it seems like it's more subtle and you get diminishing returns after a while, sure, but I mean, I'm really close to the terrain right now, but if you fly over little bumps and you're like that stuff over there, for example, if I flew over that, I would probably feel that over there, even though I'm this high, which is kind of cool. And one of the guys on our Facebook group the other day was reporting that he was like 4,500 meters above the terrain and was still going up, which he was describing as almost like wave-like sort of lift. That's something we probably got to confirm, but I'd be very surprised if wave lift was modeled in this, but perhaps the ridge lift just goes up pretty high. I don't know. All stuff we need to investigate, for sure. And thanks to the legacy importer, we can now do that, pull in these aircraft. This is not the only one that's available. There's a few knocking around the internet that you can download and run the legacy importer on. The ultimate goal is to get one that's just sort of ready to go, but of course there's all sorts of copyright issues with, this is a Microsoft FSX aircraft. I can't go put this on the internet and have people download it because it's copyrighted material. Even if you could prove that you have the original version, it's still a bit gray area whether you're really supposed to be distributing these files or not. So don't be asking me for a copy of this because I'm not going to put it out there, but hopefully soon someone will create something that's you could just go download and fly without having to do all these conversions. But there have been a few of them actually put on one of my Facebook users. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting your name right now, but he's actually put a few of Wolfgang Piper's fantastic FSX gliders up there with his permission, I must add. Wolfgang gave permission for him to develop those further for Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, and unfortunately they're not very good yet. The flight models are getting there, but the instrumentation is just not working for some reason, which is a bummer. We get that sorted out though, that'll be really nice, because Wolfgang, as I said, has actually given us permission to develop those models. So. But yeah, as time goes by, there'll be more and more of these airplanes these gliders we can actually download and just fly. Okay, I think we just hit the turn point there. That is some logging activity there, isn't it? Look, that's a logging road with the switchbacks ahead of us. This is British Columbia, after all. A sustainable logging industry up here, which is pretty cool. Alright, let's have a look at where I'm going next. So, I don't think I'm going to get much off of that hill in front of us, so I want to turn around here and head there? Yes. Map here. Yeah, we want to run this ridge line here, which is that ahead of us there. Pretty good, we can do that. Okay, let's get across here without losing too much height. Drop the flaps just one notch. Yeah, I remember this gets a little tricky back here. It's not entirely obvious which way you're supposed to fly, and some of these ridges are not as good as what we just flew through, so I'm being a little cautious here. We're dropping pretty good right now, though. Well, we should pick up something once we get up here. Hopefully. Come on. Yeah. Not a good area here. Just should be though. I often wonder how much down, how much the wind is going down that hill and then coming up this one. Whether we're getting a combination of a mixture of the rotors off that and then the lift off here. Whether that's modeled in Microsoft Flight Sim, I don't know. In X-Plane, it's pretty. If you're on a slope and the wind's blowing against it, you will get lift, regardless of what's shadowing you from the upwind side. In here, it seems a little bit more involved, to be honest. I might be imagining things, but although this is nice lift now, really nice. It's, slow down a bit here. Up this for all it's worth. Oh yeah, going up nicely now. Yeah, you see, we're not really in the shadow of that so much anymore. Don't know if that's a thing or not in this sim. I'd like to believe it is. Easy enough a little bit now. Alright, next ridge is... actually, just continue down here for a while. Okay, easy enough. Altitude's pretty good. I remember getting really low one time here, and I was way down there by that river, creek, whatever that is down there. It was just not pretty. So I may be being a little overcautious here. We're good though. Coming up on 4,000 here. I swear these needles are not in the right place. See, this is almost coming up. Is only less than 200 feet to. And yet this needle here is like showing like 3,500. It's like the needles aren't quite lined up properly, are they? Yeah, that should be on the 4 right now. As we approach it, as we get up to. It's not a bit screwy going on there. I don't know which one to believe, this one or that one. I just have a quick peek at the. Alright, we're at 3,700. Yeah, so this hand is wrong, this one is right. Interesting. Quirky things. So I'm going to follow the short hand, not the long hand. Not a clock. Right. Sorry if I keep looking over to the right, I'm looking at my little nav map on my right monitor here. Yeah, I'd love to get XC Soul Rocket in here, or Top Hat, or whatever your preference is. As I said, there has been some talk about that. Might be something we can get going. Did get it working in X-Plane, that was good. And I hear it works in Condor. At least I assume it does. I haven't flown Condor much. At least not recently. Right, where the heck am I going here? But yeah, proper glide computer would be good. That's what I'm hoping we'll get on this. Once we get these digital displays working, we'll be able to have glide computers. Like Ian Lewis, B21, created a whole bunch of really nice glide computers for FSX and X-Plane. It'd be nice to get those where you could bang in your the task and it would tell you where the waypoints are, and it would give you like a final glide to your next turn, well, to your end to the finish line, and tell you whether you're going to make the next turn point. Useful information like that. Alright, where am I going now? I think down here. Am I going the wrong way? I sure hope not. ATC's chattering away at me. Alright, yeah, this is getting a bit sketchy in here, isn't it? Oh, this is the part that the valley is trending upwards and you don't realize it. Alright, let's get a little bit more conservative down here. Yeah, I'm not liking what I'm seeing here. That's getting pretty low. I need to be up here, don't I? Let's slow down a bit here and get a little bit more conservative. Yeah, I don't think this is the way I usually go. The one thing I like about this task is there's no obvious direction to go. Okay, that's looking a little bit more safe here, but that I didn't like over there. That was like... I always like to have an out. You know, if things are not going ready the way I like it, I want to be able to turn out into the valley and be able to, you know, have some altitude. That was not so good back there. Alright, where the heck am I going from here? Let's continue following this south here. Eventually I want to get over there though. Lost in the mountains of British Columbia we are. I can't imagine doing this without a GPS. I don't know how glider pilots back in the day did it, but just go out into the mountains and just kind of hope you know where you are. That's some brave stuff there. Alright, this is good. Got a really strong lift here. So I'll have a quick look at a little nav map here without crushing into the mountain. Figure out where I want to go. Fly to the end of here. Around here maybe? Or go down this valley and... Jeez, that really isn't a good way to go, is there? I think we're going to head east and just see what happens. There's really no good lift if I do that. Oh, that's green, look at that. Alright, if I go down here... Might pick up something on this ridge. Okay. Think I know what I'm doing. Doesn't look like it. I think I do though. Okay, let's get this one conservative glide mode here. Around there maybe. Go too fast, maybe around 60. Yeah, I got the wind's kind of at our backs here. Coming from there a little bit. So I might be able to get something off here a little bit. Flying downwind, the idea is usually to fly towards the terrain, because you know you're going to get lift. If the wind's at your back, you know, if you point at the mountain, you're going to have lift when you get there. Probably head off to this peak next, over here. Look at these guys out here flying along in their normal airplanes. I wonder what they make of me. Yeah, at the time I'm recording this, not a lot of gliders flying in Microsoft Flight Sim, so they're probably wondering, well, what the heck is this guy doing down so close to the terrain? Weaving all in and out of everything. Although there's a lot of bush flying going on in this too, so they're doing the same thing. But that's one of my things I really like about this sim, is just the fact there are other people flying around there. You know, I have no idea who these people are, and it's like, makes the world, you know, feels like it's a living, breathing world with people in it. Some of these other sims are just so sort of sterile, and there's really nothing going on. I mean, you could have some AI traffic flying around and stuff, which is good, but it doesn't compare to actually having people, real people, buzzing around doing their own thing. I think that's so cool. And it's built into the game, which, thank goodness. X-Plane needs to get with that. That would be so nice. Although they do have multiplayer, of course, but this is really good with the multiplayer. Just built in and it just works. You don't have to go faffing around with all these third-party things. And I don't know, I guess you're free under VATSIM and that other one, I forget what the pay one is called. That's another way to do it too. I'm not big on ATC though. I'm not too worried about that. So I love that it's just built-in multiplayer. And you use like Discord and whatnot to talk to the people you're flying with. That works out just really well. As I mentioned, we do have a Discord server we're using for Microsoft Flight Sim gliders. I'll put that in the description. Alright, this is some sketchy stuff I'm getting into here. Hoping I'll get some lift off of this right in front of me. And then mountains of sink right on the other side, literally. Mountains. Let's go up here, get a big bump off that. And speed up for this part. This is going to be ugly. 10 flaps forwards or up. Get through this part. So I think our next waypoint is over there. Oh, I've got some weird rotors or something bouncing me around. Coming off that hill behind us. Yeah, not where you want to be. On the leeward side of a mountain. Pushing me down it is. Not into it. Okay. We're through the worst of it. Let's make ourselves a little bit more efficient here. I'm still sinking pretty good. Okay, now we're getting stable. Alright, so that's turn point 3 coming up. And then we just gotta head down there and we're done. In fact, I think that's the finish line right there. Almost done. Yeah, this is a nice quick task. That's about like it. Some of the other ones I got like an hour. Oh, I did one of Bruno's tasks in the Utica Mountains in Utah. I don't know if you've heard of Bruno, I forget his last name now, sorry, Bruno. But if you've been on YouTube and done any sort of like looking for glider for like real full-scale gliders, real gliders, Bruno's the man, and he had some beautiful task where he was doing loops in the mountains and for the spectators and stuff, and I actually figured out exactly where he flew and what day and what the weather was, and I simulated that entire flight, and it was 3 hours long. I made a task, and these poor people went on there and were like, oh, I'll do one of Nod's tasks. 3 hours later, they're like, that was fantastic, but oh my god, 3 hours? Yeah, it's one thing to do that in a real glider. You know, if you're going to go gliding for the day, you want at least 3 hours glide, don't you? But on a simulator, you don't really want to sit there for 3 hours. These shorter tasks, about an hour long is good. This one could probably be done in 25 minutes if I really wanted to push it. Alright, turn point 3 coming up. Come on, give it to me. Whoa, big balloon here, what's going on? Oh, it knows I'm getting near the airport too. ATC's chattering away, giving my position. Okay, can we give me credit for that? Little nav map did. There we go. Oh, not yet. There it is. Boink. Okay, we're gonna call that. Okay, let's speed up here. Full reflex, and we'll trim forwards for like 80 knots or something. I think we got final glide on this, so if this computer was working, we would know. Eyeballing it though, looks good. Okay, there we go. Now we're cruising. I should still get some lift off of these hills. If I keep my left hand on the mountain, we should be good. Oh, I'm so happy. Gliding in Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. Yes. Don't think I'm going to make it out of that, am I? It's not at this speed. I could pull up when I get there, maybe. Let's do that and live dangerously. Keep the speed on. Dangerous. Oh, if I crash this now, I'm going to be so pissed. Got enough energy to get over this, hopefully. Bleeding it off. Using bleeding airspeed for altitude. It's working. Be scaring a few woodpeckers, but plenty of room. I'll try this at home. Alright, let's drop on those again and get some speed going. We're sinking like a sailplane in sync. Yeah, that was a dumb move. I should have done that. But it was fun. One of the advantages of flying the simulator, of course, is you can goof around. Try things you ought not do in real life. Ooh, what is going on here? Sink. Okay, I'm going to take that back. I'm not going to go full reflex, because we may not make it. Alright, now we're back in lift. Yeah, there's a lot of tuning to be done with these gliders, I'm sure. This flies fairly well out of the box, but as I said, I really want to get it to a stage where we can just have gliders that have been tuned by people who know what the heck they're doing, set up just right, get the instrumentation all working right, get all the polars and the performance all tweaked perfectly for these sailplanes, and then we could go out there and actually approximate proper gliding, at least ridge soaring anyway. That would be fantastic. But I don't really have to wish for it. It's happening. Lots of guys on the internet right now, especially in the Facebook group, working on exactly that. Yeah, I really want to get Asobo and Microsoft to finish their software development kit. I think that's causing a lot of problems for. I mean, some third-party developers are obviously figured it out, and they know how to do a lot of this stuff. But I got a feeling for your average Joe sailplane guy who wants to just put something together, it's the software development kit is, at least the help or the explaining how everything works is not really there yet, which is why we're not seeing a bunch of custom gliders yet. Plus things like compensated variometers and things like that. I don't know how we go about getting that done. Maybe Ian Lewis, if you're watching this, love to see you over here on Microsoft 2020, doing your magic, getting us some proper instrumentation we can work with. That'd be so nice to see that on here. Look at that down there. Ah, oh, glorious. Yeah, it's not the best quality auto I'm seeing here, but we are in the middle of Canada in the wild, so, it does change, I've noticed, in Microsoft Flight Sim. Sometimes the satellite imagery is really, really good, and other times it gets a bit chunky. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. A lot of the Alps in Europe are very chunky. This is what I'm going to call somewhere in between. I've flown some parts in the United States, though, and other parts of the world are absolutely fantastic. You really don't know if you're looking in a simulator or not. Just take a screenshot and you're like, is that real? I can't tell. It's just so good, so. And it's only going to improve. They're working on this. As I'm talking, they just released the US update. I understand they're about to do one for the United Kingdom. Get the scenery there going a little bit better. And they're going to continue doing this for the next decade, apparently. So that's very cool. All right, that's the finish line. Let's really put some speed on here. Actually got white caps on that water down there. I think I do. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. Oh, it is blowing 15 knots. Oh yeah, coming over the finish line. Here we go. Da, 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 da. Awesome. Just about there. There it is. Woohoo! Let's do a loop-the-loop. A bad one at that. I'm not going to roll it because the ailerons on this thing are super sluggish. A loop will do just fine though. Alright, where's our airport? It's over there. Buzz over this town. You should be good. Hopefully I didn't burn off too much altitude doing those shenanigans. Awesome. Alright, well, that's the first time I've been around a task in Microsoft 2020. Very happy. Yeah, I'm going to have to run all my old tasks. And maybe some ones from other people have put up here. Yeah, it'll be great. Oh, that scenery looks so good. Yeah, I'm running sort of medium to high settings on my computer because it's a bit of an old clunker, especially when I'm recording video too, but hoping to get a faster machine someday soon, maybe get into VR. That seems to be where it's all heading. Yeah, right now I can't click on any of this stuff in here. The labels come up, but you can't actually click on it. Now the tow release doesn't do anything. So that's going to be a problem for VR once they get that going. It's all about clicking stuff with those like handheld controller things. Maybe I can get my buddy Joe at what is it, VR Sim Labs, to take a look at this. Well, they're about to open up VR at the time I'm making this video in December, which will be next month from here, but you're probably watching this at some point in the future and VR is already a thing. But yeah, the immersion and 3D and all that stuff. Here you can never go back, but I'm quite happy with my head tracking, to be honest, but I got a nice big wide medium resolution monitor here, 14.4 by whatever, 3000 something. It's pretty nice, pretty immersive, and I do like having you know, my other, you know, I have things like this and stuff like that on the other monitors that I can keep I can go over to. I'm not gonna make it, am I? Am I okay? It's gonna be a bit close. Again, I wish this computer was working so I could see if I got fine and wide. Let's pop that back one more notch here. Make sure we make it. It'd be pretty embarrassing if I went all the way around there and didn't quite make it to the airport. Yeah, we got this. Wind is blowing pretty strong in my face though. 15 knot headwind. Hopefully we got this. I was going to show you the spoilers and everything, but I'm not sure we're even going to want to use those. Yeah, I got white caps down there on the water. Blowing pretty good. Gotta keep the speed up though if we're going to penetrate. One of the worst things you can do is just keep pulling up when you get too low. Just makes things worse. Oh yeah, get some turbulence over these trees. Kind of regretting doing that loop right now. Come on, baby. Yeah, I got this. No worries. Okay, I'm actually not going to put the landing flaps out. I think the headwind's pretty strong, so I'll get back one notch maybe. Oh, it's getting sluggish. Stop putting the blades out a little bit. Let's work it down here to the building so we don't have to walk too far. Landing gear we died here. Landing gear. Come on down. Yes. Derp. Teresa. Bouncer, actually. Full blades. We got a grab loop, whatever you call it in gliders. Brakes. We are down. Yes. Fantastic. There, I've done that. Awesome. Okay, there's my first task in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So nice to be doing this finally. Okay then, well there's that. As I said, there'll be a bunch of links in the description of this video, so go check those out if you have any questions. If you like my videos, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more of my videos, and if you want to make some comments, I'd love to hear from you. Alrighty. Well, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that, and give this a try. It's only going to get better as far as I can tell, so awesome. Alright, take care. Fly safe.